Next up, we have Diya Wynn, Senior Practice Manager of AWS. Diya has worked in technology for 25 years, building, delivering, and leading in early and growth stage companies. She has a passion for developing current and emerging leaders, promoting STEM to the underrepresented, and driving diversity, equity, and inclusion. After spending years in technology focused roles and separately pursuing passion projects in DEI, she now has a role marrying the best of both worlds. She leads a team focused on engaging with customers to go from principles to practice, operationalizing standards for responsible use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data. Please welcome Diya Wynn. Diya, are you ready? Hi, Diya. I can't hear you, Diya. Oh, you are on mute. Unmute. Hi, Diya.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. I am doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, excited for your talk, how to accelerate AI adoption. I'm going to give you the stage, Diya.
Am I able to share my screen as well?
Yeah, I don't see your presentation, Diya. If you want to share your screen, there's a share screen at the bottom.
And is that happening on my side or no?
I don't see it. Do you see a share screen on your side?
Yeah, I am. It's allowing me to share. But I was just hearing a little echo, so I was wondering if that was on my side or not.
I don't hear any echo, Diya.
Okay, good. See if we can do this.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. Are you able to see the share button on the bottom of your green room?
I got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. As soon as I see it pop up, I'll add it to the stage.
Trying to make sure that it shows the window.
Okay. Yeah, you have to select the right window to share.
All right, we should be good now.
There you are. Do you want to go and present more, Diya?
I would love to do that.
All right. I see a blank screen. Is the first screen blank?
No, it's black though. You should be seeing something that says enabling AI adoption.
I'm not sure. I don't see it. Can the audience, can you move your slides up and down, Diya? Let's see if we can see anything.
I noticed that folks were not doing it in full screen. I wonder if that's why.
Okay. Let's not go to full screen then. Let's see.
Okay.
I mean, we've ran this conference for 2 days now. Today's the third day. It was working, but technology, it just.
Yeah, no worries. I noticed that others were not sharing in full screen. They were just showing part of the slide. So maybe that's the issue
Okay.
as I was
I
watching.
lost your share screen, yeah. So do you want to share it again so that I can add it to stage? It went away.
Oh, okay. All right.
How's everyone doing? Almost lunchtime. Are you grabbing your lunch while watching Diya's talk and then there you are.
So are you all seeing it now?
Yes, we are seeing it and it's moving. So you're good, Diya.
Let me do this. I'm going to just close this slide in here.
I'll go back to Diya.
Are you all seeing that more in a larger screen? Does that work?
That works. Perfect.
Okay, great. I apologize for that brief little technology get together there. So good afternoon, and it is afternoon on the East Coast and the West Coast now, and Hopefully others that'll get to see us. This will be greetings to everyone. As was introduced, I'm Diya Wynn, and I'm excited about having the opportunity to share a little bit today. Now, I would say I have a distinct pleasure in being on the stage with so many other amazing folks that have been talking with you over the last 3 days. But I also have a bit of a challenge because we've had some amazing individuals come, and I think I'm at the end of the day. So, so I just we'll go through this as best as possible. And I'll tell you, I was listening in on one of the talks from yesterday, and it was Vivian, and I loved the way that she started. So I just wanted to take a moment to just share a little something with you, maybe a little bit personal, but hopefully will give a good context for how I got here, and then really why this particular area is important, and of course the work that Data Ethics for All is doing as well. So I have two boys, and I grew up in a family of girls in the South Bronx and New York, between Harlem and New York City, or New York. And as earlier in my years, I had not been exposed to technology. I'm saying early in my years, but I'll explain a little bit more. I had not been or had the privilege to see other people who were in technology in my family. So what was traditional at the time was to see women who were teachers, maybe a nurse, and I got a computer early in the third grade. And that actually was the thing, the catalyst for me that made me want to go into technology. It was that exposure. And I bring that up because I think it's so important, the work that Data Ethics for All is doing in exposing young people to STEM and technology and opportunities in artificial intelligence, and even exposing and elevating awareness for folks that may not be as aware about some of the challenges and the things that we should be mindful of, or avenues for us to consider as we look to advance technology. And so I just wanted to bring that up because for me, when I start thinking about my earlier experiences, then I was looking at, well, what do I do with my sons? How do I prepare them for what's going to come in the future? And that's really led me to where I am today. My background is in technology. I studied computer science, so I was that third grader that kept my mind focused on technology even from that start. But I wanted to make sure they too had an opportunity to live in this world. Maybe we're talking about free of bias, certainly not free of bias, but being able to navigate, because we know that there may be changes, or there are changes in the way that we would have to live and adjust when we think about technology, artificial intelligence, robots being at the forefront of how we engage and shaping or shifting how we interact with the world. So in my introduction, you heard the mention of taking the best of both worlds. And I say that because this is as much an inclusion, diversity, and equity problem as it is a technology problem. So that's just a little bit of my introduction and why this is so important that we bring one awareness and education and opportunity, exposing individuals to more of what the world will look like and the opportunities we have in it. Now, since I'm here on the last day of this AI diet world, I wanted to just give you briefly an overview of some of the solutions that I and my team and I have created really to help our customers at AWS in this journey to responsible AI. Oh, I need that little one over here a little bit, just a little. So I don't need to tell you all, or most of you are already aware about or aware of how much Machine learning, artificial intelligence has been incorporated into everything that we do. Most of technology or most of our industries are exploring and using artificial intelligence in some ways. I tell the story of just recently buying new appliances in my home, and my Samsung refrigerator and TV and microwave all have ways of talking to each other and giving me alerts in different places. And those are some simple examples, but then we also know that organizations are starting to use it in ways that aren't just research and development anymore or proof of concept projects, but really moving to how they can leverage artificial intelligence in major ways to advance products, to see greater efficiency in operations. And we know that they're handling real world tasks, maybe not as simplistic as my Samsung refrigerator, my kitchen appliances, but more complex problems that we thought perhaps unachievable or unattainable in the past. And this whole idea of this increased use of machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies means that there's an increased need for us to be aware of benefits, potential risks, but also be doing something about them. Now, these two are describing recent studies, and I'm saying recent, there even is a little bit more recent study that's come out that's talking about some of the challenges that enterprises have. And while this says enterprises, it's not just restricted to enterprises alone. Companies, CEOs in the enterprise recognize that there is a potential for bias and lack of transparency. And we're seeing that in other organizations, big and small. At the same time, there is a concern, and this came through in a Gartner study that said that 85% of the projects were expected to deliver erroneous outcomes due to bias in the data, the algorithms, and the teams that produce them. And so what do we do then if we recognize that more companies are going to begin to use artificial intelligence and more applications are going to have AI and ML infused into them, and we're going to be interacting with it more when there are these potential risks? Now, there's another study as well that that was actually talking about, and this one was from Deloitte, that said that while organizations understand that there's a risk or understand that there may be a potential for bias and the lack of transparency, they really don't have the skills in order to be able to address those issues. So there's some level of awareness, and some people will question whether everyone is fully aware of where there may be impact. But then what do we do? Not everyone is sitting in circles or experiences like we just saw the last 3 days, where they're talking about potential opportunities and the ways in which we might look at navigating bias, or how do we understand our data and look at more complete or robust options with our data. Not everyone is sitting in those environments. And so what do you do when there is such great promise and opportunity when we think about the ways in which AI is being used today? We heard some examples, and when Vivian was talking about being able to give those who were autistic the ability to be able to recognize expressions that they wouldn't normally be able to do, amazing sort of use case, right? Or, in the case of Thorn, which is helping children that may have been pulled into the child sex trafficking, helping them to be reunited with their parents or their families. These are use cases that matter, and we want to be able to have the technology at hand for us, right? So then what do? I think when we think about enterprises and us wanting to be able to leverage the great benefit that we have in the technology, we also need to be making sure that we're not infringing on civil liberties and that there is inclusive technology or models that are being used in ways that really respect our rights, are fair, and inclusive. Now, in the work that I get to do and my team as well, right, we understand that this is not just a simple problem. And some of the things that we can do may be, in fact, simple for us to be able to address it. But this really is a multidisciplinary problem, not just looking at the skills or the expertise from certain industries, but also bringing to bear technology and philosophy and law and these other social sciences to begin to be able to address some of the issues, some of the challenges, and create opportunity. I heard someone say that the other day. Consider every problem or every issue as an opportunity, and I think indeed it is when we start looking in this space. So what my team and I get to do is we've created this framework so that we can begin to address the gaps in skills with enterprises and organizations like we were talking about, so that they're not just aware and wondering what to do, but they actually have skill and capability to be able to address that, to address those and begin to tap into how do we operationalize responsible AI? What things did we put in place in order to ensure that we're looking around corners and seeing where we didn't notice that certain individuals may not have been at the table and this application isn't necessarily meeting the need of some of our consumers. So for us, AWS Ratio is our responsible AI framework that helps us actually move to one, establishing or leveraging principles, tenets, and moving that in ways so that we take intentional and strategic approach so that we can deliver business outcomes and minimize unintended impact and risk. This is our answer for assisting organizations with building on their investment or capitalizing their AI investments in ways that allow us to experience the great benefits that we get in tackling these challenges, but also being conscious and aware and addressing opportunities or areas where there may be risk. Each stage in Ratio helps us highlight questions, primary considerations, areas that we need to pay attention to identify where there are gaps or where there are potential risks and begin to address those with some best practices and actually doing the work to put them into place in the organization. So we help our customers look at artificial intelligence in the way in which, and machine learning and the way in which they're going to employ that in a responsible way. This for us is identifying a new operating model, right? Looking at people, process, and technology so that we can really drive better outcomes and reduce risk. So defining and executing that operating model goes across every stage of what we would say the machine learning lifecycle, but this is really a part of a holistic AI journey. Do we understand what responsible AI is? Are we informing and educating all the people that might have an impact in the decision-making process, in annotating data, whether that's in our testing, as well as our data scientists that are training models, that all are educated in an area in ways so that they actually can be accountable and responsible and take a part in ensuring that we're delivering, we're building, we're deploying, and we're operating responsibly. So we've defined 7 pillars as a guide to help us navigate through the areas, again, to put in place the right things in order to design and develop, deploy, and to operate responsibly. And this will hopefully address ethical concerns when we can when we assess this more broadly, and help us define players that have responsibility, and so they have clarity about where they fit and when. And then give us a real true mechanism for being able to monitor and iterate over that over time, and continuing to improve the process. Because the ultimate goal is that we um, minimize the risk, reduce unintended impact, and build in an inclusive way. Now, I talked about this, and we started off with this first piece or definition that said scaling adoption of artificial intelligence. And the reason why I say that is because this conversation ends up being one about trust, and we've heard a little bit about that over the course of the last couple of days as well. As human beings, we don't trust things that we don't understand, and companies need to be seen as trustworthy and building trustworthy products. And the absence of that is going to have an impact on the company, people's perception of their products, and the technology itself, which ultimately has an impact on the industry, and will prohibit our ability to, one, leverage it in life-changing sort of solutions or solving problems that may be life-changing, but also it will limit our ability to be able to continue to use it throughout. And so it has an impact on the industry as a whole. So we want organizations to be building responsibly and operating responsibly so that we can continue to solve real world problems. And find new, and a great example of that would be like with the NFL and the way in which they're using AI to find new ways to address player safety. I told you the example of Thorn with child sex trafficking, or even Cerna that's using AI in ways to start to predict how they might heart-related issues so that it can provide more preventative care. These are the ways in which we want to be able to leverage it. And so we've got to build a foundation of trust. And that premise or that notion has to start not just with the data scientists or those of us that are aware, but really giving opportunity and responsibility to everyone in the life cycle. And that starts in big part with our companies and our organizations that are building and deploying the technology in this way. So with that, I will say thank you, because I only had a little bit of time, but our solutions really go from discovery into production. And these are ways in which our team, which is a global team, can begin to come alongside and partner with our customers and take them along this journey, going through the 7 pillars and really highlighting areas of opportunity for us to address to really build more inclusively and ultimately have the foundation of trust that allows us to solve more and to address more in the world.
Completely agree with you, Diya. What a fantastic talk. Completely agree that, we have to move forward with social good as our core in order to use and leverage data, technology, artificial intelligence, only to make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Do we have any audience questions? Anything specific for Diya? I guess it's lunchtime and people are hungry, at least on the West Coast.
Give me this hard sort of difficult spot here. So
I know. I'm sorry. Somebody has been.
If there are questions, folks can reach out on LinkedIn or get connected, and happy to dig into more where we have an opportunity one-on-one, or certainly work with other organizations as well. Because this is important to us, and as many have said, we're all a part of driving solutions in this space.
Yes, and Diya is also going to be a part of the Data Ethics for All community, and She'll be around. As she said, connect with her on LinkedIn, ask questions, put your questions in the chat, and tag her, tag AIWDW 2021, and she'll still be around to answer your questions. Diya, we would continue working together, and thank you for your time.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.